We are rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Creative Businessmen. Today we have comedian Freddy Valoy on with us. Freddie, you want to just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you and what you do?
Yeah. My name is, like you said, my name is Freddie. I'm a comedian. During the day, I sell medical devices that kind of pays the bills and gets me out of student loan debt. But the real passion is comedy and, creating content. So I got to host a podcast called Fred Talk where we, interview different people, kind of like this, different stories of the come up and whatnot, relationship stuff. I host a dating show every Wednesday live on YouTube. It's called Date Live with Freddy Valoy. So I have singles on every week. We get two people on, and I talk to them for 20 minutes. And if people like them, they can slide in their DMs via Instagram.
Oh, cool. Wow.
Yeah. We're about 20 episodes or so deep on that. That's been a ton of fun.
I like that.
Yeah. And then I started a new project called World Local News with a buddy of mine, Greg. That's where we take political, weekly news cycle stuff and just kind of riff on it, make fun of things, teach some shit, have some, try to have some nuanced conversation with a little levity in there.
Yeah.
With everything that's going on. So
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So how long have you been in medical sales?
7 years now.
Okay, that's a good career. I know most people do that.
Yeah. It was. Somebody told me you make a lot of money doing it. You get to talk to people, and you're in the operating room. I was like, yeah, I'll do that shit.
Yeah.
Now it's it's awesome. It's a whole different look. I work typically with neurosurgeons, and then I do comedy at night. So I'm around a lot of autistic people every day. So it's like.
Well, I know your goal, I'm sure, is to be a full-time comedian.
Yeah.
And with we always say it's good to find if you have to work a job, it's good to find one or a career that pays good money so you can have money to build the career you want.
Yeah.
So you can move into your own business, or if that's what you want to do. If you want to pursue an entrepreneurial life, have something that helps you get there, and that's a good one. It'll take a while for comedy to replace that income.
Oh yeah. I'm not even looking. Yeah, it's actually a very stupid decision what I'm doing. I should just devote my time into my job, but I'm an idiot, so this is just.
Well, I think it'll pay off in the long run. It'll pay off.
Yeah, hopefully.
And you'll be independent, which is great.
Yeah, it's all right. If not, I can go on OnlyFans and show my feet for some money or something like that.
There you go.
Yeah, I heard. I had a guy on my dating show that he was making thousands of dollars a week showing his feet for a couple hours. I was like, okay, that's gonna go. Keep that in the old brain for later if I need it.
They like fat toes, maybe, you think?
But that I was on a podcast the other day and we talked about that. I think there's a market maybe in Asia. Go out east for some white feet, dude.
What about fake toes?
Yeah,
fake toes would work too. I have flat feet. I think that's another niche.
I have flat feet. Well,
yeah.
I have a flat foot.
Dude, we can do a duo where we clap our feet together.
There you go.
What could be awesome? This is you're not gonna like this, but there was one time, when you're doing stuff, you just can't help what pops into your mind. And one time, you took your leg off, and you were using it for a girl, and I don't know why it popped in my head. I'm telling you, the weirdest shit. And I was like, why did you think that?
I'm sure there's a thing for that.
I've been mad at
there's a category. Yeah.
I've been mad at myself for thinking that, but just so you know, I'm saying it here and now for the first time ever, one time during a sexual experience, you popped into my head, you took your leg off, and you were doing something to the girl with it. So I just want to let you know about that. Now you know.
There's definitely a place for that. I know there is.
If it's in your mind, it's in many minds.
I actually think that's where the creative businessmen should go. Drop the podcast and start fucking diddling girls with women. Sorry, women.
To be clear, I'm married, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Hey, my wife's not into the.
Okay, what you guys can tell her, listen, honey, we'll pay off the house, we'll get a boat.
Yeah. Listen, it's a prosthetic. That's
there's better ways.
That's not cheating though.
That's true. Not cheating if it's
a prosthetic. Yeah.
What about that?
It's kind of like a strap-on,
I think that would be considered cheating.
What about if you give it to me and I do it?
That would work. Yeah.
There's a lot of loopholes here.
Yeah, hey, Daniel, here you go. And but you gotta be.
I have some extras. I'll let you borrow one.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Hey, can I use the pointed one? Yeah, that one. That one's the one I want today. Wouldn't that be weird?
I think this whole topic's weird.
Yeah, my apologies.
No, this is great. Well, I was thinking about we're talking about creative ways to make content, and that's one of them. Then there's the other one, the mukbangs, where people just eat in front of the camera. Yeah, there's
haven't
one
seen
where
it.
people eat, and this is one of those things that's big in Asia. And you get a ton of viewers, and they give you money, and people are making a shit ton of money just eating.
Dude, where were you at 7 months ago before I started my healthy lifestyle? Man?
Right?
They
Yeah,
want to
dude.
see me eat some shit I could eat.
You should lose the weight, then start your career doing that and gain it all back.
Yeah,
This time
yeah.
you'll be rich, though.
Yeah, well,
Well, he's already got that covered.
I do okay. What's that? There's a Jay-Z line that just came into my head, but yeah, I do all right.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome. I
do
want to be
all right.
like you one day.
Yeah, hey, no, medical sales. Hey, sales. Listen, when I lost everything and had to get back into it, there's no industry like sales to me, because sales isn't everything. But if you can sell, you're never gonna go without a job. If you can bring value, and that's
Yeah.
I mean, literally every corporation has a product or service that they're selling.
Yeah.
Period. So, I don't see how you ever go without a job. If you're a strong quality salesperson, you're not ever going to go without. And I had a brokerage license, and I could have went and sold real estate, but the timeline to build a pipeline and actually close, even if I had a deal already in the pipe, would have been 45 days, 60 days to get paid. You could go into other sales fields and literally get paid like next week, 2 weeks, and just start making money. So when I lost everything, I went back into sales. I cranked it out for 8 months. I told the guy up front, you know, hey, I'm here long enough to restart my business. I just 6 days a week selling, half a day on Sunday, just cleaning up my deals, making sure everything was right. And I did that for 8 months, and then boom, started
What
again.
were you selling?
I'm ashamed to say, I was at a car dealership.
Oh, no, that's
I
you're selling. You're
say
selling.
Ashamed to say, but so day one, I was supposed to go. Not ashamed to say, but it's just.
Yeah, it's good money.
Yeah, it was good
Yeah.
money. It was good money,
time.
but it wasn't as prestigious as medical sales. Yes, so that's why I said, hey, I respect it. But day one, I was supposed to. I had already been in the car business previously, a long time ago, and spinning paper, F&I, and I was told, hey, man, we need a sales manager. So the day I show up to work, I get told I'm not the sales manager. I'm a salesperson, and I need to earn my spot. So day one, month one, no training, no certification, not even certified to sell new cars. That took me 3 or 4 days to get that. Usually takes people 2 weeks.
Nice.
I just did it while I was selling used cars, and then once I got that, I could sell new. First month, salesman of the month, David Ford, shout out to David Ford, who probably still to this day wins sales of the month every month and has for years. I beat David that month.
Nice.
The first day of the next month, I got promoted to sales manager, and I spent the next 7 months as a sales manager. And then
That's awesome.
turned in a notice. And in the car business, typically you turn in a notice, they go ahead and fire you.
Yeah.
That's just the way it works. I think it's a liability issue for them.
Yeah.
But either way, turned in a notice, got the can, and went full throttle back into it. But if something ever happened, knock on wood, I'd go back into sales in a heartbeat and just provide value and kill it and make it number one, and then put the money back into business and start over again.
Yeah, I respect that, and I'll add on to that by saying I think sales is everything, because at the end of the day, we're all selling something.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, you got to sell yourself every morning to get the hell out of bed sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
And some days are, harder than others.
Yeah.
You got to sell yourself to the girl at the bar you're trying to take out for drinks.
That's
you gotta, right. It really, I don't know, it's just it's a good skill to have. To learn how to deal with people. Learn how to not let people get under your skin.
That's right.
That's huge.
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
not to get
marketing.
offended, and
Yeah.
marketing, and
Yeah.
how about negotiating? Selling while negotiating, like an active negotiation. That stresses people out sometimes.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, I think it's a key skill.
Have you guys read the book Never Split the Difference?
I have.
Oh,
yeah, so
God.
it's written by former FBI hostage negotiator. What's his name?
Chris Voss or something?
Is it Chris Voss? Maybe it is Chris Voss. But anyway, yeah, his son. It was based on a lesson with his son, wasn't it? About never split the difference. Isn't that where it came from or something?
It came from there's no halfway with hostage negotiating. You either win or you lose.
Yeah, yeah.
And he uses, goes through all I read that one twice a year. Because he goes.
I've only read
through-
it once. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's like those tactics or whatever that he
Yeah,
gives
yeah.
you. They work.
Yeah.
What's the one? It's like repeat the last three mirroring.
Yeah, mirroring. Yeah.
Where you repeat the last 3 words of what they're saying, and people would just, if you repeat the last 2 to 3 words, they will keep talking, which is a valuable thing to happen when you're in sales, so you can get more information. So it's that's one of my favorite books.
If you just repeat what they're going to say, they're going to say it again, right? All right.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I checked out some of his other stuff, but he does a mastermind thing as well.
Oh, masterclass.
Masterclass, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
a bunch of people are doing those. That seems like a cash grab at this point.
That's what I feel like too. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
interesting. I signed up for it just to watch some of the different classes on it. I liked
Yeah.
it. It was
Yeah.
Some good information on there.
Yeah, there's it looks like there's some good they got some high profile names in there.
Another good streaming type service for information is Curiosity Stream. It's a really interesting.
What's that one?
It's good. Documentaries.
It's science documentaries.
Oh, wow.
And they're anywhere from 1 minute to 2 hours. It's just on every science topic you can think of, science and technology.
Yeah. Was Netflix not enough? Where you're like, I need more.
I love science and technology.
That's awesome.
So it's a good source.
Sometimes
of good information.
2 o'clock in the morning, I'll get a message, just Neil. Oh, what is this? It's interesting. Oh, it's 3.5 hours. Yeah, I'll start that now.
That's
He's like, hey,
awesome.
this is really interesting. But normally it is. I like it because he filters it for me.
What's your favorite scientific concept right now? Like, what are you interested in now?
I don't really have a favorite. I pay a lot of attention to, I guess, AI and
Yeah.
The chip. You talk about
Neuralink's real fascinating.
Yeah.
Interfaces.
Yeah. I think AI is already in the works.
Oh well, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
AI does everything.
Yeah.
But as far as like general AI, where it's conscious, that'll be, if that's possible, that'll be a huge shift in our whole society.
Yeah. I think it's already going on behind the scenes, and we don't even know. He's just plotting. AI. His name's Al, and he's plotting. He's giving us porn and Instagram fitness models and flooding our senses and fucking us over.
I mean,
So
we don't really
something
know
can
what
happen.
causes consciousness, so it's possible that there is something that's waking.
Flaming hot Cheetos.
Awakening.
Could that be? I'm trying to think of some things that would cause consciousness.
The internet, could come.
You ever
come to life.
drink spoiled milk by accident?
Oh,
If it knocks you
bad.
right out of your funk. You're like, what the hell's that?
That's a good idea, though. Oh, you feeling fucked up today?
Yeah.
Here's some spoiled milk.
Yeah, it gives you perspective.
Yeah, this will really get it for you.
I think VR, especially with COVID, VR technology and stuff is going to be really interesting for the future as far as being with other people but not physically being with them.
Yeah, that's going to be. It's already. I feel like the tech is already pretty good. You feel like you're in there. Like I played a Spider-Man
good.
game in VR, and I felt like I was swinging from buildings. Being a kid from
Yeah.
New York, like that was always a dream of mine. I'd be walking, I'd be like, man, I wish I was Spider-Man so I could swing through these buildings.
Yeah.
In that video game, you jump off a building, your stomach, you feel it. It's crazy.
I think it'll reach a level though, especially with like Neuralink, where it's a brain interface, where you're actually you can really connect to that world and be in there and maybe seem like you're a real person, kind of like Ready Player One, where you're in that virtual world, but you seem like a real physical being.
Yeah.
So like with comedy, in comedy you need crowds of people laughing. You need that atmosphere to make it work. So right now it's not. I think it can work with that, but not. It's still not nearly as good as the real thing. Whereas I think eventually it'll be indiscernible from the real thing.
I mean, the porn with that is going to be, and people won't leave their homes.
Yeah.
There's going to be a sect of people that just.
That could be one of the problems.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge problem. It already is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
did
true.
36 days of no masturbation.
No FAP?
No fap, no nothing. I had sex with my girlfriend and everything, but I used like breathing techniques to come down, so I didn't
Yeah.
like bust or anything. But I was looking up like semen retention and like the benefits or like for performance and things like that. And I got to tell you, I recommend it for anybody.
Yeah, it's like your body takes, like it goes in like 7-day cycles or something.
It's
that how it
something.
works?
There's no scientific literature for it. It's
testosterone.
just you just kind of build up the testosterone and you just feel like you're on it. I guess it's like, don't deers during mating season, aren't they all jacked up on whatever? Are they testosterone as well?
I think so.
I mean, yeah, they have. I guess
Yeah.
in rutting season, they're
Yeah, they're like
up.
jacked up off that whatever hormone. I
Yeah.
think it's kind of like the same concept.
Yeah.
Feels
Yeah.
good. I don't know. Felt good. No longer no longer part of
He's like,
that
I
team.
didn't- How many days did you make it? 36?
36. Yeah. It took me. That was the fourth attempt.
Just,
I mean-
just get married.
Yeah.
Did you have more self-control afterwards, you think?
Yes.
How about this? We're getting a sexual conversation here. Did you notice that it helped with performance after the fact? Like now, do you feel improved or better breath control, like you're saying, or?
Yeah. The breathing, the just like general, like, and while I was on it too, there's like a weird like your connection with people is I think you're just more present. And I think it does have something to do with like the self-discipline aspect. Because if you're at home, whacking it all the time, there's something weird that happens with like, when I was depressed, a few years ago, I was doing that where it's like there's no eye contact with people. You feel kind of like shameful. It's like
Lack of motivation.
Yeah. This just kind of snaps in everything from like a discipline level. Because in my life, I'm always doing like weird challenges. Like I did 90 days completely sober. Just there's always something I got to be doing that's kind of like a fun challenge. Just kind of the way my mind works. And that was the last one I did, and it was worth it.
That's cool.
I like it.
Well, I know biologically we're wired to for fitness. So procreation is a huge part of our DNA. And the desire to reproduce. So, I mean, I think almost everything we do is kind of based around that.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of our drive.
Yeah.
I think we're maybe evolving past that. With some of the technologies now. I think in the future, even having sex to reproduce may be a thing of the past, but it may just be a thing we do for fun.
That's scary. You guys ever see the show? Oh gosh, it's like in the future, but it's like dystopian future type stuff. I forget the name.
Black
of it.
Mirror?
No. Like people are exchanging their consciousness from.
Oh,
You talking about carbon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ultra carbon.
Ultra carbon.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, if we're just
The
having
stacks.
sex for pleasure, you're gonna be having that weird like, you're disposing body. That just seems super hedonic. I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, I read an article in a science journal about a year and a half ago where they've developed a technology to take a skin cell and turn the skin cell into either a sperm or an egg. So they can take two skin cells or a skin cell from two different people, make one a sperm, one an egg, and then create a person. And they already have artificial wombs, so eventually, which that'll be good for same-sex couples. They can reproduce just through their cells, but also eventually, we'll be able to at first just select like the healthiest embryos that they can create from our cells, and then, the next stage past that will actually just modify the embryos to make sure that there are no bad genes or defective genes that would cause diseases, like cancers or whatever disease they could develop. And I think people will probably start looking very similar, and we'll all be healthy and super strong and way more intelligent. Maybe, especially with the interface, the human AI interfaces will probably highly intelligent, maybe telepathic.
Probably need to do it for colonizing space or something.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah. What would be the negative to that? Because there's going to be some kind of.
Oh yeah.
I think the problem for me would be to level the playing field, and you guys would kind of step up to my level. I might lose my competitive advantage.
Well, I think
the competition.
I mean, I think the negative, and I don't know that it's a negative. It'd be a negative to us because we're human, but I think you're going to lose a lot of the human aspect of life, where we'll probably be more of a single organism. We probably already are anyway, but we'll probably be able to share our minds and share experiences, and empathy will be probably on an unimaginable level.
Oh, that's great.
Which is good, and it may be a utopian experience, but it'll be certainly different than what this is. And if it's something we experienced in our lifetime, it may be too overwhelming for us to be a part of that, to
I could see that.
jump into the matrix or whatever that's going to be.
I think there's gonna be a sect of people that don't do it though. It'll split.
And I think, but I think what'll happen though, I thought about that. I think you're right, but I think I think if it goes that direction, then most likely we're creating our replacements, like Homo sapien 2.0 or whatever.
Yes.
But if that happens, I think the majority of humans will interface. They'll be a part of that. They'll dive in and start changing their bodies and
Let's write a book. I just came up with the whole book based on what you just said.
But
everything you just said is true. This other faction feels like you guys are gods now, right? And they create some device that kills you all and restarts humanity. And the people that didn't have all that technology restart everything.
the problem is that
Ooh,
they'll be too dumb to
I
do
like
that.
that.
The
Yeah?
problem
Yeah.
is the problem is that the people that do
No,
add the interface will be so intelligent. So think about this:
Oh, no. There's a mole.
If you increased your intelligence by 1,000,000 times, then so if you were 1,000,000 times smarter than me, your concept of time would be completely different than mine. So like I could say, how do you feel about this topic? And then the one split second it took you to the pause between the time I asked you the question and you answering it, based on my intelligence, you would have an entire year to think about your answer.
Oh, wow.
You know, so like time to us is relative to how quickly we process information.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're processing information 1,000,000 times faster, you have
Yeah.
infinite more time than what I would have.
Yeah.
So that's there's no way you could dupe something that's that much more
don't
intelligent
know.
than you. It'd be like a squirrel outwitting you.
I see like different methods of technology and different groups fishing off into that. Some would like want to like, how do I put my mind into a machine's body?
Yep.
Other people be like, how do I make my body composed of nanites where I can technically make it survive and do anything I want? You know,
Yeah.
There's all kinds of like choices.
Well, I don't
there.
think you need a body at that point. I think
No.
once it reaches that level, you could have access to anybody,
Yeah.
to infinite. Like, so when a human body dies, or a say a Homo sapien 2.0 body dies, nobody dies.
Yeah.
That consciousness is still in the hive. If there needs to be another body, they just grow another body and jump in that one.
Yeah. That's altered carbon. That's what they,
Yeah,
yeah.
just the same type of, and I think that's probably very possible.
And- yeah.
But what I was saying, if the humans who don't take part in that change and that evolution, I think the same thing that happened to the Neanderthals will happen to those humans, because Neanderthals eventually, their populations decreased so much that they just didn't have the diversity within the population to continue on. If you know, they've done studies where they look at some of their populations, they can still extract the DNA from their bones and stuff, and they could tell, like they could see their population numbers dropping, and there's a lot of inbreeding and stuff like that, and that's what would happen if you don't have enough numbers in the species. There's not enough diversity to continue the species. It'll just go extinct.
Is it true that they were more intelligent than Homo sapiens, but less social, which is why a big reason why they died off? They weren't as social.
No,
Oh.
Their brains were actually larger than Homo sapiens, but they were shaped a little differently. So the extra capacity was most likely used for enhanced senses. They were much stronger than Homo sapiens, and they probably had better visual acuity and stronger sense of smell. You know, better senses for hunting and physical things, but not. They probably didn't have the cognitive capacity of Homo sapiens.
That makes sense.
And also, they don't think there were really wars between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. Now, there were isolated incidences of Neanderthals eating other Neanderthals.
Whoa.
And that also probably played a negative, or had a negative impact on their longevity as well, because when you start having cannibalism, you start, there are things called prions
Yeah.
in brain matter and marrow, and
Yeah, CJD.
yeah, once you start getting those types of diseases,
You fall apart.
you're done. Yeah, it just destroys your body,
Yeah.
destroys your DNA. But they think that was mostly isolated, and but there weren't big populations of either group, you know, of Neanderthals or Homo sapiens. There wasn't a resource issue. It's not like there wasn't plenty of food for everybody. You know, most of that stuff was probably maybe a disagreement between two different tribes of people, but I think that was pretty rare. I think that now Homo sapiens did interbreed with Neanderthals, so I think all groups of people outside of Africa have Neanderthal, about 2% Neanderthal DNA, and it's different strands of Neanderthal DNA. So I think overall, the whole population of the Earth, there's like 30% Neanderthal DNA still floating around.
Wow.
But it's in small little percentages. People in Africa that are from Africa don't have it because they never left the continent.
So were Neanderthals, were they just not in Africa?
Well, they were, but I think initially you had a group of, I think it was Homo erectus, maybe left Africa hundreds of thousands of years ago. Maybe it was like 1.5 or 7 million years ago or something, and then they populated different parts of Europe and Asia, and that's where Neanderthals came from. And then some Homo erectus stayed in Africa and continued to evolve there, and that's where Homo sapiens evolved, and then left Africa later. So that's why there was two different types of humans. And I mean, during our time on Earth, there have been like maybe 3 or 4 other hominid species that have coexisted with Homo sapiens. So we're going to be replaced by something.
Yeah.
We just don't know what it is. Right now, we're all the same thing, but there will be something else. And I have a feeling it's got to do with technology, because we don't think of technology as something that's natural, but it's just as natural as a tree. You know what I mean? It's all nature. It's all the same.
I feel you. That's how I look at it too. It's like, yeah, everything we do is natural because it exists, and like it's a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, our body's basically a machine that's built of code.
Yeah. There's information.
It's just
DNA,
really high tech, and we don't understand it.
Yep.
But it's, it's all the same type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a fun little rabbit
I
hole.
like that. Yeah. I learned a lot there. This is good. I might need some of that fucking booze now.
I was gonna say I should have smoked after my workout. I definitely should have smoked.
Right?
Maybe cracked open the Glenfiddich.
Yeah.
Got to get it started in here.
So how long have you been doing comedy?
3 years now.
3 years. Okay.
Yeah. This is my 4th year. My full 3 year was February 5th. And things were really starting to pick up right before Corona, So I'm just starting to get back up now. Was doing the mics over at the Idiot Box, and then got some shows coming up. I'll be in Durham this Friday. I'll be in Raleigh at the Dogwood on a Monday, and then Tuesday I think I'm at the Idiot Box as well. So,
oh, nice.
So it's
Trevor.
Yeah.
He does Raleigh and that area. Trevor
Hayes.
Trevor Hayes, yeah. He's producing the show I'll be at on Monday
Awesome.
at the Dogwood, yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
So what got you into comedy?
I was depressed. I was going through a really tough time in life, and I was listening to a Bill Burr podcast, and I always thought to do comedy you had to know somebody. You had to like go to like a comedy school or some kind of art school or something like that. And listening to Bill Burr, a listener had asked him, how do you got into comedy? He said, just write 5 minutes and go to an open mic.
Yeah.
So I was like, huh. And he was like, don't worry about doing good. It's really hard, really difficult. Just go out there and have fun. And I'm like, all right, well, I've been told I've been funny for my whole life. I'm like, let me go see if I'm funny. So I went and did an open mic. It was decent. It was enough.
Yeah.
I got enough laughs for me to go, holy shit, this is awesome. This is great. But the big part for me was the way my girlfriend looked at me, because my girlfriend's one of the least full of shit people I know in my life. And the way she looked at me, and she was like, I want to see where you take this. Like, I was like, oh, shit. I was like, she doesn't think, because I was just like, oh, this is a fun, just going to try it out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be a hobby. And the way she looked at me was like, she was like, I want to see how far you can take this. I was like, okay, well, so she's like my biggest supporter. She's like,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You're funny. I saw you at an open mic recently.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you can tell you've been at it for a while, and it's more polished. So
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's
funny.
It's just it's tough doing it. I used to do it at least 5 days a week. I try to average out a set every day, because that's when it's really fun, because I'm really smooth. I'm feeling it. But when you're only doing it twice a week, for me, I'm like, oh gosh, like what am I gonna? It's a little more fear going into the set, because I'm not as it's like anything. It's like going in boxing twice a week, or boxing 7 days a week. Who's going to be more sharp, a little more fluid? It's the same thing.
Do you guys have up in Raleigh? Do you guys have multiple open mics a night, or
when it's like when it was pre-corona? Yeah. On a Tuesday night, you can get 3 sets in if you play.
Wow.
Yeah, if you play the cards right. It was not uncommon to have a 2-set night. Yeah, there was, at one point you could get like 14 sets in a week in Raleigh.
I wish we had a couple of two set or 2 mic nights. That'd be nice here. Because I don't like taking too many nights out of the week. I have a family. I have a wife and a 4-year-old daughter. But for me, like the bigger cities, usually they have the late mics, like 10 o'clock.
Yes.
And they'll do like 10 and maybe 12 or something. Like that would be perfect for me. I'm a night person anyway, so.
Yeah, you can put the kids to sleep and then go off. Yeah.
Yeah. So I try to do 2 or 3 nights a week right now.
That's good.
Yeah, it's all right.
That's good. Right now, that's good. That is
I think that's
gold.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward back to doing 2 or 3 nights a week. And then like pretty much my nights are just all taken up by either podcasting, IG Live, or doing stand-up.
Yeah. How old are you now?
34.
Okay. So
Yeah.
still youngish.
Ish, yeah. I started late. I started at 31. So, yeah, I started late, but I feel good about it.
No, that's cool. I didn't start acting until I was 33.
Oh, nice.
Or 32. I was 32, actually. It was just before I turned 33. And then I didn't start stand-up until last year. I actually wrote some stand-up a few years ago when I was studying at an acting school just for an exercise in comedic writing. It went okay, and I actually performed some of that at a few open mics while I was working on some acting stuff. But last year's when I really started pursuing acting. I really wasn't pursuing acting. Pursuing comedy. I was just trying to improve my comedic writing and enjoyed it, so I just kept doing it.
Oh, that's good.
And now I can't stop doing it. Now it's like I feel like I have to.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like a drug, man.
Yeah. I'll have a few bad nights. Like I'll bomb maybe 2 or 3 times in a row, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I go back and have a decent set, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's one thing I've noticed. No matter how big of a slump I'm in comedy, if I keep doing it and keep being intentional, eventually there's going to be the equal to opposite come up on the other end. It's almost always, and it's usually, I get to the point where I'm like, it's like fear. I'm bombing. Then all of a sudden I get really pissed off, and I'm like, man, fuck this shit. And I just go up there, and I end up killing that set because you get closer. I feel like you get closer to being yourself in those moments where you're less less scripted off the paper, and people do things differently. I don't write my sets. I just, have bullet points to remember, but I just go up there and I riff.
So I'm a writer, so that's probably, which I'm finding the writing is it's getting better, and it's a lot easier now to do the writing. But my problem is getting out of my head because it's all very scripted.
That's why I stopped writing, because I would literally be on stage picturing the book that I wrote it in, because I used to write word for word, and I would be literally reading it in my head because I have a photographic memory, and that does something to the time. You just feel, like you said, it feels scripted.
Yeah, well, I have to, once I get it down, it doesn't feel that way anymore. It's just early. So I'm working on, because if I do it like in acting, it's all scripted. But it can't seem scripted.
Ah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So you have to be completely off script. You have to really work it out and understand it, and then you have choices that don't have anything to do with the material, and that way you're really living in that moment. And it's the same thing. I know it's the same with comedy. It's just these are long monologues. You know what I mean? Like these are, like a set could be up to an hour. So, but I mean, even if it's just 5 minutes, 5 minutes of a script is still a long script. It's a lot of monologue, and so now I'm trying to learn my set really well, and then sort of go in it or go at it from almost like an improv type perspective. Which it's been helpful, and when I can relax and get out of my head, sometimes new things come out of it too.
Yeah.
But. That's part of the. People don't realize how many different things you're doing at once when you're doing these types of, entertainment or performance.
Yeah. It's like you got to do your best, not try too hard, not like it's
the thing. If it's not scripted like the way you do it, you have to really. I guess you're getting really used to just having your what's the word? Your punchlines. Like you just intuitively know where the punchline is and your tags and.
Yeah, and then I just try to find an organic way to get to those places.
Yeah.
And then just have fun and maybe switch it up if I can, things like that. So, yeah.
I know Eric Trundy does it. He works it out very similar to that, too.
He's great.
Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think most comedians write.
Yeah.
Which to me is like the easiest way for me to do it. But that's one thing I like about comedy. It's so ambiguous. It's so unique to the artist.
Yeah, there's no script. There's no like roadmap. Somebody could blow up in 3 years. Somebody could blow up in 20. You know, some people write. Some people don't write one thing at all because they feel like it's just my perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it's all different.
And I guess the structure. There are some structural things that are kind of consistent with it. You know, like the different types of joke structures, but the way people get to them is just so different.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with just, it seems like, because I'm not an expert, I don't know shit about it, but it
Same
seems
here.
like the way to get to it is learning how it works best for you. Like once a comedian finds their voice, it's like it's like they're synced in.
Yeah, Bill Burr says it the best. He's like, before you start comedy, you're the guy at the bar making all your friends laugh. You're having a good time. You're like that person. Then you start comedy and you spend the next 10 years trying to be that person that you are at the bar on stage. I feel like that's the most accurate.
Every few seconds.
Yeah. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to find your voice, from what I hear.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's different for everybody. I think acting has helped me a lot, just from the performance side of it. It's and the writing, but so maybe it'll help me get there a little faster, but
Probably, yeah.
it's still a process for sure.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
So what? So these shows coming up, are they just half audience shows or how?
Yeah, they're outdoor, socially distant shows. One in Durham and then the other one in Raleigh. And then I think I have a UCC spot on Tuesday.
Oh, cool.
At the idiot. No, that's wrong.
Oh, the competition, yeah.
No, that's wrong. I'm doing it's Kernersville. I'll be in Kernersville for a show, so that's
okay.
That's good. Yeah.
Is it a brewery, Kernersville?
Yep. I think that's like an outdoor.
Have you done any of
venue.
these outdoor shows yet?
Have I? I don't remember. Yes, I definitely have. Yeah, I've done a bunch of them already. I just couldn't think of the ones I've done. I've done a few in Durham, some out east.
How
They're
did they
good.
go? Okay.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, with comedy, you want to be in a basement. You want everybody really close together. You want it to be dark. And this is the complete opposite.
Yeah.
But what helps the equation there is that people just want to get the hell out of the house and they want some kind of normalcy.
Okay.
So you get a little bit more leeway in that sense. What I'm excited for is I'm trying to use the Corona era comedy, outside comedy, to better my comedy because once we get back inside, if you're killing outside, if you're murdering outside, you're going to fucking tear the building down once you go back inside. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm just like, I'll do comedy outside. I'm going to make the best of it right now. And when I come back, it's going to be like, if anybody watched Dragon Ball Z, it's like Goku training with the, when he puts the gravity up like 200 times. I feel like that's what it's like right now. It's doing comedy with a lot of gravity right now.
Yeah, you're just swinging with the three bats.
Yeah.
In the batter's box.
But it's something's good gonna come out of it. So
that's good. I right before I had done a couple of sets before the shutdown that had went really well, and it was fun with real audiences. And I did one show, which was just a showcase show. So I got, I think, 8 minutes or something, and it went really well. So I was excited about starting to do shows, and then everything went away.
Yep.
So I've just, I've used this year just to practice and just get better. Yeah, I'm just trying to learn.
That's what this whole year feels like. It's just a practice year.
Yeah. That's it.
It's a red shirt year for life.
Yeah. So hopefully I can, next year start doing some showcases and some of these smaller shows. And
yeah, man.
Have you done any traveling with comedy? Do you travel much? Like before
I used to go to New York. I would, North Carolina, If I ever went on vacation, I would try to get on a show out there. And once you get, decent video, it's not hard to get some guest spots in some of these places. Nice. Yeah, so like Austin, New York City, I was going to twice a year. Yeah, really anywhere. So once we get going here again, I'll be doing that again, because my girl now, she does medical sales, but for a lab, doing prenatal genetics and stuff like that, and she just got promoted to national accounts. She has like pretty much her own role, so nice. She can live anywhere, she can travel anywhere, and pretty much we're going to use that so sometimes I'll maybe go with her if I don't need to be in the operating room for my day job, is go travel to that city with her, try to pick up some shows. That's perfect. Do things like that. Yeah, I feel like with today comedy, that's what you got to do. It's making it on your own, creating your own podcast, YouTube channel, building your audience, and then just getting out there on your own. There's no waiting for somebody to like tap you on the shoulder.
You don't have to. So much better. It's a great time to be an artist.
It really is.
Yeah. If you want to promote yourself.
Yeah. I find I have trouble doing that sometimes. I fall off. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be on social media today. Like, I just don't.
That's a pain.
Yeah. It's work.
Yeah. And it just seems silly sometimes, but it is necessary. So were you performing pretty much every weekend, like doing shows?
Doing shows, yeah.
Nice.
A couple times a week, yeah.
That's
I was I was supposed to go to New York to do this filming for BET, or like they were gonna whatever, and then they were like, well, I don't know because of coronavirus, and I feel like I got it, but they canceled the whole thing.
Yeah. But
that would have been fun. It was like a freestyle thing where you get the topic a week before, and you got to write a 5-minute bit on it, which would have been that's great for me for like I riff and stuff like that. That would have been awesome.
Was it one of the clubs that they're doing that, or?
I don't know where it was at. I don't know how it was going to be done, but I did an interview over Skype. Somebody found my name. I don't know how, but that was I was like, oh shit, this is going to be great. That was around March-ish. It was supposed to be around March, and then they canceled the whole thing. So I'm not like, fuck.
Wow. Well, whoever was producing it will probably circle back around to it.
I've thought about that the other day. I'm like, I feel like things are starting to pick up now, and that they're going to pick that up again.
I'm sure they still want to do it.
Yeah. So that's awesome.
You sound like you're from New York. Are you from New York?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think the demand is gone. Like everybody that had plans still has those plans. Everybody's hands are tied right now. So once the handcuffs come off, I feel like things are just gonna
a surge. Yeah.
Especially once there's some kind of vaccine or better treatment, and people feel safe. Once the majority of people feel safe, they'll be filling up the comedy clubs.
Yep.
And movie theaters and everything else because people want to do stuff.
Yeah, people keep saying we're like in quarantine right now, and that's not the we're
not
out.
Here.
People, people keep saying, "Oh, we're still in quarantine." I'm like, no, we're not. Most of the country, people are out. Yeah. So,
and if you're healthy and younger, you should be out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can wear a mask or something, but
yeah,
you should be out doing stuff.
It's going to piss off a lot of people, but I still think to some extent that the extreme measures we've taken are such bullshit. But it is what it is. But
it's so much was unknown. It was really hard to call it.
Oh no, I'm talking about at this point.
I'm
not talking about.
Oh yeah.
I'm not talking about like while we were trying to figure it out and all that. That's fine. I'm talking about at this point. Like right now, it's irritating.
Yeah.
Like I'll give you an example. Like, okay, so we can have 1,100 people in the local Walmart. All right, and the local Lowe's is about the same, just over 1,000 at the same time, right? But it's okay. They got masks on, right? Well, if you can do that, why can't I go do every other activity with a mask on?
You should be able to, Just
wear
a mask.
Right, I'm not even going to debate the mask thing. I'm saying if you're allowed to go do one thing with a mask, why can't I go bowl with a mask on? Why can't I go?
It's the same thing.
Yeah, why can't I go? It makes no sense. Like, I don't go to church, but if I did, why can't I go to church with a mask on?
Yeah, especially if inside they're socially distant. Like, that's, I mean, and places have been accommodating for that too. So.
Why are some of the state parks still closed? Being outside is one of the healthiest things you can do.
Yeah.
Why are the kids' playgrounds still closed? Like there's so much dumb shit that just makes no sense to me. I'm just over it. So in that way, I still think we're in some type of quarantine. But what's funny is if, and this is not trying to get political, but if you look at who runs the state, most of those states that have higher restrictions are one side, and the states with less restrictions are on another side. So it's like now it's turned into a political thing.
Yeah.
So
That's why we
Yeah.
need. That's why we need a council instead of a president.
Yeah.
So we just have a council of experts. Then your science group can say,
Yeah.
"This is the factual science on this issue. It's not political. It's just science." And these are the things that we recommend. And then you've got a freedom aspect too. You know, we have constitutional rights, so
Yeah.
you know it has to fall within that guideline as well. You can't like one thing that really bothered me was the essential aspect of it. You know, saying that one person's job isn't essential because all jobs are essential. They're all essential to pay your bills and eat and provide shelter. We don't have universal basic income in this country. We just have opportunities. And if you can't do anything, then you can't pay your bills. You can't feed your family. That creates a bigger problem.
Yeah.
You know, so
There was a video of that Amazon worker right at the beginning of coronavirus. He was like saying how they didn't want to be in the warehouse. He's like, we're filling orders. He's like, for a lot of non-essential things, he's like, you know, he's like, dildos. He's like, I'm packing up dildos. He's like, no. He's he like kept repeating dildos and the way he was saying it. He's like, dildos.
oh, that's funny.
I was like, he makes a point. Like,
No, yeah.
well, masks are very effective. You know,
yeah.
so
When they first said masks didn't work, I was like, I don't believe that shit.
I didn't believe it either.
It just, even if it's 2%, it's doing something. Like,
And that fucked up the whole thing too, man. Because
It did.
if you lie to Americans, they're never going to believe you.
yeah, that
They'll,
was,
they'll do the opposite of what you say just out of spite.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
'Cause you lied to them. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, be honest with people. Don't treat people like they're children. Be honest with them, and then ask them to help out and do their part.
Yeah. You can't combat honesty. If it's
Yeah.
true, genuine honesty, it's impossible. No, you can't combat it. Some, you know, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think they could have come out a different way and just said, "Hey, masks work, but we're trying to save these for our medical professionals.
Yeah.
In the meantime, you can make your own mask. Here's a tutorial or a guide or a video or a link
Yeah.
or whatever to take shirts and turn them in, like whatever, you know, like
Yeah,
they could have
yeah.
done something, but
Yeah.
the way they did it definitely, I don't know, it's interesting. I'm over it. I know a lot of people are over it, and there's a lot of people that want it to continue like it is for a while. So
yeah,
I
those
guess we'll-
people are stupid.
Yeah.
They're living in a fantasy land.
Can't live in
Yeah.
fear either.
They want the government. They want society to collapse so the government can take over. Like,
Yeah.
that's like,
There's
just-
no happy outcome.
Yeah.
Of that. It's not a positive.
Let's just
thing.
all stop. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree that there's things that can be done that we should do differently. Maybe look at money
So-
differently and what we value it on. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, I think long term this is gonna be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's figuring it out. Everybody, you know, it's exposed everything at every level, whether if you're an individual mismanaging money or the government. Coronavirus exposed all that shit. It's exposing universities.
Yep.
It's exposing the current work system.
True.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to tell you a funny one, and I can't tell you who did it because he is involved in social media and other things. I don't want it to look poorly on him, but he went skydiving. He's been going skydiving for the last couple of months and getting very good at it and comfortable with it. And so he's in skydiving like in Arizona and Florida and just different places. So anyway, he's here skydiving, and so 2 weeks ago, they said there's a new regulation. He couldn't jump without having his mask on.
What?
Yeah,
You serious?
Yeah, so they told him that
By himself?
yes, by himself, that because he had to have the mask on in the plane, and when he jumped, until he jumped off the plane, he had to have the mask on while skydiving. Like, let's just think about this. Like, we're up in the air with men and women, whatever, people that are jumping out of an airplane, and we need to make sure they've got a mask on. Like,
Yeah.
I like that's the kind of dumb shit. Like, I'm just,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, you know, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I'm just like, okay, so now I'm supposed to jump out of the plane, in the air, take my mask off.
You let it go, it gets stuck into like it brings the plane down.
or are you supposed to just jump and have the mask on? And you know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't get it. So anyway, I don't know. It's just I'm over it. I'm ready. I'm over the election. I'm over all the politics. I'm over all the hate. I'm over all.
Yeah, man, it's
I'm just
crazy.
like, I want it to pass. I think we got like 40 days left. I'm like, please hurry up.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if we had a VR cocoon that we can get into and just
Yeah,
kind of,
right. Yeah.
you know.
And there's euphoria now. Everybody thinks things are bad, but I actually think things are going to get worse and then get better. I
Yeah.
think it's probably going to happen middle of next year. into 2022, somewhere in that range. You're gonna have real estate crash. You got negative inflation. You got inflation. You have negative interest rates in the banks.
Yeah.
Right now, you're making the national average I think is 0.012% on your money in the bank, 0.012. So if you think about this, it's going to take, if you divide that by 72, it tell you how long it takes your money to double. I think you're like at 86 years right now. If you left your money in the bank with the average checking or savings account rate, it would take like 86 years for your money to double today. So the banks are giving you less than inflation, right? And I think the next step is a negative interest rate, which means basically banks are literally going to charge you to keep your money in the bank. And
Wow.
You've got the Fed Reserve, what they're doing. We're keeping it.
They kind of already do anyway with fees.
They do, yeah. But it's going to be 0 to 1%. The Federal Reserve has just announced that they're going to keep it down. There's this massive issue. Housing prices are going through the roof. Real estate market's booming. Car sales are booming. All these things are taking place because people can buy more house for less money, right? Because lower interest rate. They're locking in on these mortgages based on today's interest rates, and the number of ARM adjustable rate mortgages are through the roof, which means people in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and 5 years are going to start seeing up to a point each year a raise in that interest rate, which is going to change their payment. So I think you've just got this massive cycle that's going on, and this massive crash is coming.
Yeah.
And, it's going to wipe everybody out. So, it's going to be interesting to see. But,
Yeah, guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's like the world's going to end, but please subscribe, Freddy Valoy.
Yeah. Please subscribe. But, it's not going to end. I think it's a forced reset.
Yeah.
And you need to know that in advance. But the problem is the people that are out that are making it, that are bettering their lives, that they're going stir crazy in their house, and they're buying a bigger house or whatever they're doing, right? Or they're switching from being renters to being homeowners, which in principle I can agree with. They're signing up for a whole lot of house. I think those people's situations are going to change.
Oh yeah.
Soon, and I think the market will reflect that. You got record high, and pandemic. At least the start of it started to crash everything, but then you saw everything skyrocket up. And so we didn't get that reset. So it's coming.
Yeah.
Well, plus they've injected $3 trillion into the economy, that's maybe going to do another $3.
Yeah. Who got $5 trillion? Didn't they give $5 trillion with the CARES Act? They gave like $5 trillion to like the top, like it's like a 1,000 elites or something like that.
I don't think trillion.
No,
maybe billion.
Okay.
They've definitely, and I if they've awarded $5 trillion to them, I haven't seen it, but
I think
I've seen some recent proposals that are pretty.
I think the entire relief was $3 trillion, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was.
That was everything. But
there's another round which takes it over $5 trillion, and maybe that's what you're talking about, is when combined.
Okay, maybe yeah.
Now there are some companies that got disproportionate.
Oh yeah.
Loan amounts.
Oh yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars. There were people that didn't get anything, and companies that got hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Does Jeff Bezos do any kind of charity whatsoever?
He does.
I'm sure
he does.
He does.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I'd respect him more if he did it, and he was like, "No, it's my money."
But see, I don't have a problem with people being.
I'm fine with them being wealthy,
successful like that. I think the problem is we base our money on the wrong things. I think it's only based on GDP and corporations. It should be based on. We need to have an aspect of the value of our money based on what it costs for someone to live their life, to have all their basic human needs, to have medical coverage, to have a house, to have food, utilities, just these basic human needs that everybody has, that they need access to. Base your money on what it costs to provide a human with those needs during their lifetime, and that should be part of the equation on how you value money. And that way, your money, as far as because I think we have physical resources to provide all these things for everyone. We don't have the monetary resources to provide these things. I think if everybody had the money, we have the ability, the technology to provide the services, to provide those needs.
Yeah.
To build the homes, to provide the food, all that stuff. I think we have the technology to make all that work. But we don't need socialism. We need a society that's based on innovation, that's based on rewarding people for their work, incentives.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should cap people on how much money they can make, and you also shouldn't tax them to death either.
No, that's
Because
crazy.
you start to, why am I going to keep pushing so hard if I'm just doing it for nothing?
Well, my question for people that say they want to give more money to the government is, I ask them, I go, do you think the government is corrupt? And they answer yes, and I go, then why do you want to give them more money? Like,
Right.
why? You know what I'm saying? That this doesn't even. And that's just a stupid person logic, kind of going through things. That
That's a
doesn't make
reasonable
sense.
thing.
Yeah, I like that logic. I've asked. What's funny is I've asked, this is again, I don't like to say I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. For me, like I've got beliefs, and I'm reasonable, and I can have conversation, and I can agree with points on both sides or all sides, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny. Let's say we've got employees that are staunch Democrats, right? But I know they're doing things to dodge paying taxes, to attempt to. And in the past, maybe they've asked me, hey, man, the taxes are eating up my check. Can you take me off of payroll? Can you just pay me under the table so I don't have to take the taxes? Now, obviously, my answer is no, I can't do that. There's a lot of reasons why.
Yeah.
But the same individuals, some of them, that are trying to circumvent the tax system because they don't want to contribute to it, are the same individuals that today, some of them, not all of them, but some of them, that are saying that they want higher taxes, and like it makes no sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
you want higher taxes if you don't have to pay them.
Yeah. People are full of shit.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Yeah, I want to give more money away. Like,
Yeah.
the money that's the government's getting right now is not being used appropriately.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think AI is going to fix a lot of these problems too.
Yeah.
I think AI will. I think eventually AI will probably control the tax system.
Yeah.
And maybe we can reach a level where it's more transparent.
I like that,
Yeah.
and then but what about this too? Like, if political funding has taught me anything, think about I think Biden raised, and this is big numbers. A lot of it's from one contributor, but I think he raised like $112 million in the last 30 days. There are politicians, there are senators and stuff that have raised $80 and $90 million each. My whole point behind this is, why should the government take the money? Why can't there be interest groups that are for Save the Rainforest or for end homelessness or whatever? All these interest groups, right? And how do they make money? They survive off of donations, right? If political parties are getting all this money, and I mean, like, this political machine on all sides is, let's say, a $100 billion a year industry, this people, instead of giving to politicians, could just give directly to the sources that they want to benefit. If you want to help inner city youth, donate to inner city youth. Like, I don't think the money has to go to the government to go to the right place. Why can't we just give the money directly to where it needs to go? I donate regularly, and I don't consider that a tax. It's something that I'm passionate about. I want to put my money towards those causes. Is that
100%? I was thinking about something. I think probably the same exact thing, where it's like you have to prove, like, the government doesn't take it, but you have to, it's maybe, I don't know if it's like a mandatory donation, but you do it, and it's not bullshit, because, like, there's a whole thing of, like, well, someone can start an LLC and run it through that. It's going to be the come on guys, like, let's do the right thing.
There needs to be the pass the smell test, the litmus test, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like Shazier with Shizzy's Wildcat Reserve. Like, we've donated there. There's other things that we do. Like, we've helped do, like, playgrounds, and we've donated. We couldn't donate money to a school district because over a certain amount of money, it would have went into the entire school system. When the entire school system didn't need the money, this school needed it. So instead, we donated the security system that they wanted. This was after some of the stuff related that was happening in some of the schools where they started to lock down and do these things. We put in camera systems.
Nice.
I would much rather take, and it's not about the selfishness of me telling people I'm doing it. Like, there's some level of, if I'm going to profit off of a community, I think that you should take some of the money that you're making and put back into that community.
That's great.
And as a business owner, you want to be a good, to me, you want to be a good member of that community. And that's part of being a business owner, right? Like, so you should do that. I shouldn't be forced to do that, but I should want to do that. But I should be able to put my money where my mouth is. And all things, if you think about it, they're trying to use politicians, this political process, to change laws, to force tax dollars, to force other people to fund these things. You shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's enough
And those
people.
things likely won't be funded.
No, they won't. Well,
But now you can, anything you donate to a charitable cause is 100% tax deductible.
right. Yeah.
So you can do that now.
But it doesn't work the same though.
But I think
Yeah, what we're saying is, like, replace the heavy
so let's say-
taxation
yeah.
with sending it to directly.
Yeah,
to
let's say I was going to send the government $36,000 for a tax bill. I can't just send $36,000 somewhere else and not pay the government.
Yes.
To avoid paying $36,000, I would have had to donated 100% of my income to avoid the tax potentially.
Well, if you donated $36,000, you'd still owe several thousand. You
Well,
would reduce your tax liability.
Yeah, so let's just use a ballpark number of $100,000 of net income, and would produce approximately, depending on the state you're in, $36,000 in tax liability. So if you took the $100,000, reduced it by 36, now we're $64,000 net. Now $64,000 tax. Your tax rate,
which would be a lower bracket, probably.
Yeah, it puts you in smaller. Yeah. I mean, your $36,000 in taxes might turn into, let's say, and this is a complete guess out of thin air, but let's say it's $16,000 in taxes.
Yeah.
You've saved some tax liability, but you still didn't avoid it.
Mm-hmm. I think most people are subsidized to a certain.
They are
probably $30,000 a year or something. I'm
not sure what the number is, but yeah, I can tell you in the bracket that I'm in, I would have to donate. I would literally have to donate to use that method. I have to donate 100% of my income to avoid the tax. I'd rather just take the tax instead of giving the government. Just give it directly to these.
But here's the problem:
give it to the school system, give it to the charity, give it to the homeless. I'd rather just give it directly to them.
Yeah.
There's too many people getting paid in the middle.
Yeah.
But there's also a problem. There's not enough money. If you taxed everybody at 50%, at 60%, there still wouldn't be enough money. There's just not enough money.
Yeah.
To meet all the needs. That's the problem with our monetary system. Is it's not based on the right things to provide the needs for everyone, and our population is still increasing, I believe.
Like a lot of that stuff which you guys are talking about, there's a key thing that's been kind of taken out of our society that I've noticed since I've been here is pushing people to want to take part in their country's actions. Like as a kid growing up in school, everybody dissed the government, all this kind of stuff. Fuck it, they're liars, don't get involved. You can get involved as soon as you can edit, you can learn I say start in your town, start in your county.
Yeah.
Learn how that system works. They sort of teach it, but they don't really push it. And then everybody around you kind of gets on that train of just like dissing it, just like, that stuff doesn't matter. It does because it controls everything about how you operate.
I agree.
In the country. So it's like, I think these are definitely massive problems, but it takes people to be willing to get involved across the board.
Right.
And what we have is tiny little, like one person will control the thoughts of like thousands of people, or not so much, but even in school, you see a guy who knows all this stuff and he's got this crowd of friends. They aren't going to be thinking about stuff. They're going to follow him and do what that person says. You see it all the time in all facets. So it's going to take a mass, like somehow, I don't know, Chip, maybe your Chip will help. I don't know, but like something to create a willingness of young people. And it's not going to, I'm sorry, the older crowd, their parents and stuff aren't going to be the ones to tell them to do that. They're going to have to like look around, look at all the disasters happening in their life and say, what can we do to maybe not have those kind of lives or something like that,
I think one of the problems is nobody really has an answer. It's a real complicated issue. It's.
And you had said previously, Neil and I don't know, maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, we had talked about, they should have areas where if you want to be around, I don't like echo chambers. I would much rather, I don't want to be surrounded by people that all share the exact same thought. In business, that's a good way to go out of business.
Yeah.
Because you don't want yes men, and I think if you look at every major athlete or any entrepreneurs that have skyrocketed success and they lost everything, they thought every idea they had was perfect, and they had a whole team of people that did nothing but tell them that it was. I think that's a mistake.
Yeah.
But if you want to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, you could always relocate. If you financially can afford to do so, you could relocate to a state that shares more of your belief system. I don't particularly like that because then what we end up with, and this is not a dish, this specifically is not a dish at California, but what you end up with is a state like, and I don't know, what's a Republican state? So California would be an example of where there's a higher concentration of Democrats. What's
Alabama, totally Alabama.
Alabama. Okay, so Alabama, where you've got two separate extremes now, right?
Yeah.
I don't know that I like that idea either. I kind of like the idea of having a really diverse group, and you end up with policy that gets made in the central. What's that called?
I agree.
Where they're passing things that are where there's a give and take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it should be. It shouldn't be just all.
Well, something I see happening, and actually Mother Nature's kind of helping us out by coaxing us, is like West Coast is on fire. What do you do when your place is on fire? You move, right?
Yeah.
So actually, I think it's kind of a good thing if California kind of floods into the Midwest a little bit and into the South. I think it's good. They can also like, oh my God, gas is this cheap? Oh my God, milk is like $4 instead of $14.
Yeah. Hey, how about we don't have a 13.5% state income tax?
Yeah,
You're going to go 16.5.
Right.
I like that. I was thinking about that with coronavirus happening. A lot of artists moving to LA and New York to do things.
Yeah.
A lot of them were forced back into like their small Midwestern town.
Yeah.
And a lot of people maybe decide to stay there. So we could maybe see later on voting being different.
Yeah.
Make money online. You can be anywhere.
Yeah, in some of these states, things
Yeah.
like that.
Well, the comedy thing, with Joe Rogan moving to Austin, Texas.
Yeah, he's gonna
that's
have a
going to be a
bunch of-
huge comedy market now.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you earlier. So you had said earlier when you said, "Oh, yeah, I've been to New York, I've been to Austin." Now, let me ask you: do you have a heightened interest now? Are you a Rogan fan? Do you have a heightened interest in going to?
I like Rogan, respect him. I would, but I really want to stay in Raleigh. I really like what Raleigh has to offer. I like how small of a city it is. I grew up in New York, so I don't.
I got you.
I like cities where you can kind of move around easily. The cost of energy to do things is very low.
Right.
I live in downtown Raleigh, so I just walk to a bar.
Nice.
Well,
Raleigh has a good comedy scene too.
Yeah. I got lucky with that too. It was this weird. We had a lot of really good comics. Now they're in different places, but yeah, I just like the area.
They may be back after this,
right? It's something about it. But I would move to Austin. That's probably one of the few places I would move to.
Right.
I'd move there. Yeah, it's a cool place.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a fit city. It's like it's got like out. They got like this. The parks there have like this huge.
Low taxes.
Yeah, low taxes.
Almost no tax. Yeah.
Yeah, Puerto Rico is my escape plan because they got there's like no income tax, no capital gains tax.
Yeah.
It's like a 5%
Peter Schiff sold me
corporate
on
tax.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but I like how intelligent you are.
Oh, with
and just well read and your vernacular and.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. Just
I'm not dogging. It's just like it's surprising because you think, it's. I don't know. It's
most artists don't have it together.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean it's what you're an artist, but you have the sales background, which I share, and I read. We've read some of the same books. You say, oh well, Peter Schiff, this that. It's just interesting to see, and then the vernacular and the recall.
It's cool for me. I want to be like I'm an artist or whatever. I want to be a comic, but to me, it kind of goes out the window if you can't be. And this is just for me personally, a regular person.
Yeah.
Like, so I want to be able to do the regular. I want to be, a good man to my girl. When we have kids, I want to be a good father.
Yeah.
I want to know how to do regular people things, and then I also want to crush it. I have this. It's a weird ego thing with me because I just don't like people having some weird like, oh yeah, he's good at this, but he can't do this. Nobody's ever said that. This is just in my own head. So I feel like I need to like whatever I do, I just be good at it. The idea of the Renaissance man to me has always been super cool. Ever since I was a kid, I was like, oh, I want to be the guy that can fight. And, so I wrestled for most of my life. I was a Division I wrestler. Did some mixed martial arts fights. Then after that, I was like, I want to get into like the business world. I want to know how to, just through life you acquire skills. Right now, what I'm working on is like fixing things up, like being good with my hands. That's my thing now. We just got a house, and I did a couple big projects where now I'm like, holy shit, I feel like someone asked me if I'm good with my hands. I can say yes. Like I've solved enough problems and used enough tools, So that's where that comes from. So thank you for the compliment, man. Yeah,
definitely.
I understand that too. I like to do a lot of different things too.
Yeah.
Just have to be careful not to take on too much.
Yeah, that's one of my problems too is taking on too much. Going back to what you were saying about the echo chambers, I like the people I get along with the most are the ones where we agree on like 70 to 80% of things, and the other 30 to 20%. It's way off, and that's where the fun is to me. It's
exactly,
like, because I'll have conversation with people. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. And then they'll say something like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Why do you think that? Like, that's my favorite thing to ask.
Yeah.
If it's some wild shit, I'm like, how did you get to that? You know?
That's where you learn. That's where ideas
100%. Yeah.
produced.
It's curiosity it's key.
That's what solves these problems.
We should all be growing too. Like, and if I'm ignorant enough to think that only my points matter and only my points of view matter, then I got a real problem. And if I surround myself with people that are willing to echo that, I got over time. This is where we end up with extremism on
when you start believing in Bigfoot.
Yeah. That's why I think it's bullshit that we can't, like, if we've been conditioned to not talk politics or religion in regular life, because those are very difficult conversations.
Right.
But we'll never get good at them if we don't have
I
them.
agree.
Yeah.
And we
Yeah,
shouldn't.
true.
This isn't a stab. I've seen again both sides do some dumb shit.
Yeah.
And one example of that is like we're trying to talk and you're yelling and screaming, right? Let's say I'm a Democrat and I got a Republican yelling and screaming, or the air horn in front of me or whatever, like that makes no sense. Let's just talk about it, right? Let's talk about the point. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but we should be able to talk about it, right?
Neither side's willing to listen.
Neither is willing to listen. Yeah, and
Well, it shouldn't be
get
a team thing either.
Yeah.
Like our country is divided into teams. Like we're all the same team.
we should just like go.
We all have the same problems.
Yeah.
Let's just go point by point. Let's just like, all right, well, how does everybody feel about this? And then let's
Yeah.
methodically approach.
How do you
each
feel about it?
problem.
And why do you feel that way?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
And
let's
what
talk
are your
about
ideas
it.
to fix it?
Yeah, like when Trump became president, like I didn't vote for him, but when he became president, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm going to keep my life going, because for me, a president, I'm not going to blame or give credit to any president for what's going on in my life.
Right.
My life typically has been going on an upward trend.
Yeah.
And it's not because of a president. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
So, when people are crying about it, I think they're just
Man,
distracting from something
agree.
going on in their life. It's just,
if Biden wins, for the most part, nothing changes for me.
No.
Yeah.
If Trump wins, for the most part, nothing changes for me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. A monkey could be running the country
Yeah.
for some point. Because here's the thing. If the rules to the game change, they change for everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm great at adapting. I try to be, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to figure it the fuck out.
yeah.
I'll get out and I'll hustle. You're not going to. I don't look like it, but I like Will Smith's thing. Will Smith used to say, I'll die on the treadmill. I'm not afraid to die on the treadmill. And what he meant was you're not going to outwork him. And like that's the problem with when it starts getting too socialist for me, somebody with extreme work ethic, it's a disadvantage to them, right? Like you work, you're in a high level sales position, right, which there's a lot of stuff on you. And then when you're not doing that, you're working on another passion project for yourself, but you're also working on improving yourself. You're educating yourself. You're reading, right? You said, hey, it's something you said as we age. What was it a minute ago? You said, as we age, I'm working with my hands. I'm working on this. Life's a project.
Yeah.
You're improving yourself, right?
Yeah.
Those things are what's going to make you successful, no matter who's running the country, no matter what state you live in.
Yeah.
The cream rises to the top, right? Like you're going to succeed because of a big part of it's that work ethic.
And what kills me too about this whole political thing is that people are losing family members.
They are.
And close friends.
Oh, yeah.
Over this bullshit, when at the end of the day, they are on this. They're the same fucking thing. They're the same thing.
They want
Yeah.
the same
They're
things.
amassing money and power while the real people fight. They're partaking in political theater. It's like the WWE.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
And we're the ones, the citizens, we're the ones
That's it.
fighting
Oh,
and
yeah.
losing
Oh,
family
yeah.
members
Oh,
and
yeah.
fucking apart. They're
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Yeah.
and we know this, but we still.
They have lunch together.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's-
They-
it's
They do.
bullshit.
They're calling each
yeah.
other liars on TV, like they're staunch enemies.
Coyote Roadrunner stuff.
Yeah, and they're hanging out in D.C. Some of our we spend between all the companies and that we consult for and things. Last year I spent almost right at $1 million personally through attorneys, and one of our attorneys, a large firm, is out of Washington D.C. Okay, you should hear the stories that I hear. Like they're at each other like cats and dogs, and they're hanging out at lunch afterwards together.
Sure.
Like friends, like they're friends.
Yeah.
It's because to them, that's politics. That's what it's supposed to be, and that is part of the problem.
Yeah.
So they're being divisive on TV, and I don't mean one side. I mean both sides.
Yes.
And then they're hanging out, breaking bread afterwards. But see, the rest of the country's not doing that.
Well, if you
No,
can keep people in a frenzy and upset and distracted, you can
Yeah.
do all the important stuff you need to do without having to worry about people being upset about it.
Yeah.
I got it. Have you seen the? Because it just laughs. It makes me want the fridge actually. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. Actually, I'm gonna buy a very similar fridge to hers. Have you seen the fridge commercial yet?
No.
Where she's like eating ice cream and it's like a $24,000 fridge.
Right.
You guys got to look this up. So it's like Nancy Pelosi eats ice cream while the world starves, and it's like, oh, and she's got a couple. Now this is such bullshit, first of all, but
Right.
she's got the ice cream out and she's like doing it. She's like, I like this ice cream, and then it's interviews people like. They're opening up their fridges and they're empty, right? They're starving, and I'm like, you guys are such dicks. But the commercial, what I got from it was, Nancy, that's an awesome fridge. I think I need a fridge.
Yeah.
So I've been looking at, $24,000 fridges, between $12,000 and $25,000 fridges because of Nancy. Because she's got one. So anyway, so I guess something positive did come from it.
She's a part of this WWE shit.
Yeah,
Remember,
bro.
You know her ripping up that piece of paper.
Yeah.
That day she signed legislation to do like it added to like its anti-democrat like pro-Republican things, added more money to the wall and like a couple other things, which just goes to show you that she doesn't give a shit about her her voters. It's all a fucking show.
It's a show.
This red blue shit is a distraction. Elite billionaires and intelligence agencies run the world.
Oh yeah.
We can see that with the whole like pedophilic thing coming up and all that. That shit is very quiet.
And you see all the pedophilia. Have you seen all the states trying to change their laws? A lot of
weird.
states.
There's something
That is weird.
Well, what's going on is what I feel like, based on conversations, and I can't.
Some shit's gonna come out.
I feel like, and this is all hypothetical, but I've got some people that are really tied in through our law firms and stuff that we have some for fun conversations. And what they're speculating is that, and if they had clients, they wouldn't be able to tell me. But what they're speculating is that people that maybe have done something they shouldn't have went to law firms, large law firms, and discussed the possibility that if something was to come to light, what would their punishment be? And they're discussing things like statute of limitations. They're discussing things like age limits. And through this, now there's this mechanism. Okay, here are the reasons. Here's why you'd be charged. Here's how you'd be charged. Here's your risk. That's what attorneys do. They assess risk, right? They don't guarantee outcome. They say this is what could happen based on these facts. If this happens, then this happens, right? So now you've got these wealthy individuals, politically powerful, sometimes wealthy individuals that maybe have made a mistake that are saying, okay, how do I stop that from happening? Well, if you live in a state with a statute of limitations and it's beyond that, then you can't be prosecuted for it, even if you did do it. And if you live in, you see what I'm saying? If it happened, so then
that sounds totally believable.
They're trying to change it to where, hey, let's put a statute of limitations in. Well, how long should it be? Oh, I don't know, 15 years, 10 years, like right? Because the whole point is it needs to be something. But they're going to want to say, 10 years. They want to be a big enough number. Like if you didn't find out about it in 10 years, I should get away with it, right? Like so that's the mentality, right?
Yep.
And then also the age changes. Like so, you've got all these restructures that are taking place. And from a high-level source, what the speculation is that there are a lot of guilty consciences out there that are putting their money behind these law firms and these political firms, these lobbying firms,
well, they know they
to try and change the law before it all comes out. That way,
that sounds totally believable.
Yeah.
To
So,
me.
and I hear that, and I'm like, that's the most well-thought-out answer. And why aren't we hearing that on the news?
Well, they can't whack Epstein's girlfriend either. That'd be too
you
obvious.
can't take them both out.
So she'll eventually testify.
Yeah. Do you think the Catholic Church, when all this came up, they just looked at like Epstein and that whole gang like, you fucking amateurs.
100%.
Just leave the pedophile rings to the pros.
Have you heard his goddamn Catholic bit, his Catholic Church? And the
No, I don't think I have.
Oh my God, it's
good
good
shit.
shit.
Church,
I laugh so hard. It's definitely adult, but it's good, man.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
I'll hopefully catch it at
it's very offensive, but
it's extremely offensive.
It's my favorite bit.
Yeah. I like it a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah,
but it's true. It's all true.
Yeah.
That sounds right in line with the I want to hear it when we're at a mic.
I just laughed internally. I'm not gonna say why, but one of your lines, man. There's something about getting closer to God. We'll just leave it at that, and I'll let you. When he says it, you're gonna go. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I don't know.
A lot of crazy stuff's been done in the name of religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, man.
No pun intended.
100%. So, I got us on a tangent. I apologize.
No, I think this is my kind of conversation. We talked about not masturbating. We talked about foot fetishes, AI, politics, sales. I mean, we did it.
Yeah.
So what? Back to you. What was your life growing up? What was your childhood like?
Oh man, I had a great childhood. It was like.
No Catholic preachers or anything like that?
No, I got out of that. I asked too many questions. I grew up Catholic, but I wasn't allowed to Sunday school because I would ask too many questions. So thank God. I grew up in Yonkers, New York. I grew up in like uptown Manhattan until I was like 10. Then moved to Yonkers, New York, which is like where DMX and Mary J. Blige is from and all that. Yeah. Pretty rough area. And I mean, it was just running around. I wasn't really allowed to leave the neighborhood, so we would just do stupid things. Like we used to like every now and then somehow we'd find like a weird like one of those air pump like BB guns or whatever, and we'd go up to our roof and we'd shoot crackheads from the rooftop. Like,
I kind of like that. That's
yeah. So we would like hit people and like dudes would be walking. This one guy's crackhead on our block. We called his name was Credit Man, which I don't know how he got that name. You know, like, who gives a crackhead credit? Like, how did he? You know,
maybe he created that name.
Yeah, right. For marketing, but he used to get hit and be like, "Oh, them shits hurt. Them shits hurt." Like, it was weird. What else? Oh, dude. So we grew up. It was a melting pot. It was, you know, Hispanic, black, white was a minority, but we had Arab. Like, we had a gang of Albanian guys that like that. I mean, people think like.
Albanians don't fuck around.
They don't fuck around.
Yeah,
like, they're crazy. And one of our BB gun days, one of our buddies was like, "Hey man, let me use that." I was like, "All right, listen, just don't hit that lady because this lady was our friend's sister, and she like knew gangsters and shit like that." We're like, "Don't hit her." He was like, "All right, cool." Not even 5 seconds passed. I hear doof, and she goes, "Oh shit!" And we look over, and she got hit in the neck. So then he shoots at her again, and he hits her in the foot. And she's like, "Oh, niggas is shooting. Oh no." So we're like, "All right, fuck it, let's scatter." A bunch of people go down the fire escape. Some people go down the regular like leave through the front of the building. And I created this thing on my block called decrease the heat mode. And that'd be you on a cell phone. Anything that we did that was a fuck up and we needed to go, you just walk by people and pretend you're on your cell phone, and they don't want to interrupt you. It's like this weird like they don't want to fuck with you kind of thing. So a few people did that, and then another friend that didn't shoot, that wasn't even on the roof, he ended up getting punched in the face for the whole thing. But that was that was us like hanging out and playing,
being mischievous. Kids,
we were mischievous. So and then I moved to Greensboro after college, which I love that I moved to the South because it helped my perspective. I think sometimes people that are born and raised in New York and never leave, it matures them in other ways, but stunts them in others. Yeah. Which I found to be kind of weird. What else?
I think it's good to experience multiple cultures.
I agree.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, and even though it was a melting pot, coming here to the South was a whole different perspective. It was, you know, I liked it a lot. So and then after Greensboro, I moved to Charlotte, then Charlotte to Raleigh.
What did your parents do?
Oh man, my mom was like, you know, office manager kind of thing for like a property management company.
Okay.
And then my stepdad, he's retired NYPD.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he retired like 5 years ago, and now he's a doorman in the city.
So if you got caught shooting people with BB guns, you'd really got in trouble.
Oh man, yeah. My mom, they'd be like, somebody was on the roof, and I used to lie, and my dad would be like, "He's full of shit." And my mom would always believe me. So like in my mid-20s, we were all hanging out. I was like, "Hey, by the way, he was right most of the time. I was full of shit. I was lying." I was on the roof throwing wet toilet paper.
Moms are easily manipulated.
Yeah, especially with the sun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they don't think they're baby boy. I got to give my mom credit. Shout out to Mom. She fell on the stairs last week, broke her leg in 2 places. So I doubt you're going to watch this, but if you do, I love you. But I got to give my mom credit. She would stand up for me like nobody else, right? Defend me like nobody else.
Oh, yeah.
In front of me with this other person, right? But in person, right? She'd be like, in my face, up my ass, like just hardcore. Yeah. She figured out that I was like a little hellion, right? And I was intelligent enough to fuck with adults, but she was on me, man. She's like 5'4". In my mind, she's 5 foot tall, but she's like 7 foot tall when she was coming down on me. Even when I was a teenager, I was a foot and a half taller than her. It didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
But she didn't give me. She was in my ass, man, just on me, like, you know. Even if I fucked up, she'd let me know. Now, she might defend me and try to, you know, my son wouldn't do that, and just try to be my best advocate for me, right?
Yeah.
Redirect the conversation to the positives about me. But we got in solo, man. She was, no holds barred. And if I gave Mama shit, I had to deal with Dad. When Dad got home, you know. And I gave him shit, too. Sometimes that didn't work out well, but, you know.
Yeah, you're probably like me. I was the kid that was like, I'm under 18, as long as I don't fuck up too bad, I'll get away with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, my dad was Army. We lived. You said so where you were at, white was a minority. Most people don't buy this, but I was on military bases and in other countries. I was a minority most of my life.
Oh yeah.
Until the time I was I think we moved to Asheboro when I was 11, and it was a culture shock for me because Asheboro at that time was predominantly white people. I mean, like almost exclusively.
Yeah.
And it was weird for me because I was brought up on military bases, which are predominantly African American, and I was also in other countries. I was used to being the minority for the first 11 years of my life. It was very weird for me to get there and it just be like, what the fuck's going on here? It was weird.
It's still a culture shock too. Now it's white people on drugs.
Yeah, now it's crackheads. Now it's the hillbilly heroin going around.
Yeah,
I go back to that town, and people love Ashburn. That's fine. A lot of my family still lives there. I hate the town personally.
It's just sad.
It is, and there's a lot of hillbilly heroin going on.
A lot of those small towns are suffering.
And I don't know. It's just not. I don't know. I have a lot of. I don't like it.
It's a good example of why if
sounds like you guys need some BB guns in those towns.
I'm telling you, man.
Well, they were actually really nice places when we were kids. It was a nice place when we were kids.
Yeah.
But it's all the manufacturing and stuff's gone.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what I did when I was a teenager in Asheboro because there are still unsolved crimes. Now they're not that bad. It's similar to like some stuff
Mischief.
that you did. There's mischief, but I do remember some headlines. I'm not going to say it was me, but there was like first time in the history of this event, such and such and such happened, and I'm sitting here like, they still haven't figured that out. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it to myself. But some dumb shit, stuff that back then would have been a slap on the wrist, but now I'm like, man, there's a lot of pissed off people. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep it to myself.
Yeah,
but just definitely some BB guns go a long way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I like to fuck with the guys sniffing pills, man. I like to fuck with them. Like, what's something they could sniff to really piss them off? Like that's what I'd like to do.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
Like I'm gonna do this line over here, and it's like cayenne pepper or something. At least, like just really piss them off.
I had a buddy that used to do a ton of drugs, and at the height of it, he went to get his second order of cocaine for the night, and it was not cocaine at all. And at that point, I was like, "Bro, you got to stop doing drugs. Like, if the drug dealer thinks he can do that to you, you're too deep in, man.
Yeah.
You're way too deep."
Bad.
Yeah, it's time, man. Yeah, so I don't know, and it's a real problem. I get people are struggling with addiction, but
I think a lot of that's people struggling with a lack of opportunity.
I think so too. Yeah,
because those communities,
purpose is big.
Yeah.
Those smaller communities, they don't have many opportunities.
You got any brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I got one full sister, then a half brother that we grew up with through my mom, and then we have a bunch of like half siblings through my dad.
Are they? And I apologize to interrupt you, but
no.
Are they? Would you consider them productive, successful? Like, or even not even successful, but productive, hardworking? Like,
they got good head on their shoulders. Yeah. Like they've definitely been through their moments where you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Everybody's got to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, but right now, all of my siblings, all three of us, we're doing well. Mom's happy.
Yeah. So you wonder though, like you look at that situation and you go, now how many people maybe grew up in the same environment or similar environment, similar circumstances, but just handled it differently, right? And we talk about this sometimes. Like, what is it that motivates you to put if you did well in medical sales, you had weeks where you worked 60, 70, 80 hours plus. I know you did.
Yeah.
I know you.
Yeah.
You don't do well there, especially in the beginning. You got to earn your spot, earn your play. You got to kill it. So what motivated you to be able to do that and then continue to motivate you to work on yourself after hours and then also to add these other projects? Like you're constantly filling your time.
Yeah.
Like we wonder sometimes what drives me to do that or you to do that or him to do that. And it's some unique thing because some people work their whatever hours to 40, what I consider part-time, and they're exhausted. And they're like, God, I worked 33 hours last week. I have no time. I can't get anything done. I'm so tired. And I get it, but something is different with them. Their drive is different. And I just wonder, what causes you to be driven?
I don't know. When I think to the future, I just picture myself doing certain things.
Yeah.
And for me to do that thing, I have to do things now. It's just essentially what it is. I find something I like, something of interest, and I just go with it.
Yeah, I enjoy doing things.
Yeah.
I think if science reaches a point where we can modify our DNA and make ourselves younger again, like go back to maybe 30 or late 20s, and just stay there for a long period of time, maybe. Yeah. Eventually I think life will be extended out maybe to hundreds of years. But if I had hundreds of years to live, then I would actually I would focus on one thing every 20 years.
I think you just hit something like time. Like I was thinking about this is like, why I do stuff is because I know I have a limited amount of time to do things. And if you are inspired by people doing great things and you want to do great things, you go for it. And it's sort of like, okay.
Yeah, you're running out of time.
Like now I'm 46, but I'm still going to go for being a filmmaker.
You're not.
If I'm 80 by the time I hit it.
Bro, you're not even halfway yet, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of still thinking about that. It's like, okay, I got 20 years of maybe where I'm going to have good physical health, but then I got to kind of figure out, other stuff. And then like the will to go on. I run into that question sometimes too.
Yeah.
I had pretty good upbringing, a lot of stuff I want to do, but sometimes like you're talking about like sense of purpose. I feel like a strong sense of purpose sometimes, and then other times like I'm like, okay, why am I doing this?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the best answer is that I just feel this, it's a sense of purpose to do it. And most of the time that drives me to move forward. And if I do go through my depressive periods, and if I'm in there too long, that's when shame builds and anxiety because I'm not living towards. I'm not living towards that.
When I was not working towards my potential, anywhere close to it, I think that's where I talk about it some. But when I went in I hate to use there's some stigma to it that I hated to use the word depression, but that was definitely depression. I was never in my life I'd ever had that problem. I'm sleeping 18 hours a day. Like I went from working 18 to 20 hours a day to I'm sleeping 18 hours a day, and then you just self-pity and you wallow.
How old were you when you were there?
26.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah.
So I just hit 5 years from zero. Was March 18th was 5 years from the time I got to zero from negative 2 million. So 5 years. I'm 35. I'll be 36 soon. So 30.
Nice.
And then 3 to 4 years. Yeah, it's 26, 27 in that area right there.
Yeah.
Well, I think you and I are the same way in that aspect. If I'm not doing something productive and I have downtime, that's when I get depressed.
Yeah.
Like if I don't feel like I'm producing or moving forward, even if things are good, even if the things that I'm working on or the things that I'm currently doing are doing well, if I'm not constantly working on something, I get really depressed.
Yeah, that's a trait of highly creative people.
I think it's also a type of bipolar disorder.
There's
something.
I've been asked that by my doctor and then my therapist. They're like, I'm like, no. I'm like, I just get really happy. You know?
I mean, I highly believe that a lot of entrepreneurs and really successful people, and especially like us, like serial entrepreneurs and artists, people that are constantly creating and producing, I think there is a level of mania that's involved in that. I think we have the ability to maybe stay in these manic states for long periods of time to create this art or whatever we're working on, and then when we drop down, we don't allow ourselves to go into a depression fully, but we just kind of hit a baseline, and then we ramp it back up.
That's how I.
Because I can feel it. I can tell when I'm like in a real creative state.
Yeah, me too.
And it usually lasts for weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I'll wake up one day and I'll just be like, oh, I feel like shit today.
Yeah.
Like I've just been going so hard.
Yep. I work the same way.
And then I'm like, okay, I gotta rev the motor back up. I gotta motivate myself again.
Yeah, that's interesting. No, it's I think for me, and it's I'd say almost 10 years since probably where I had this negative part of my life, and it seems like so long, but when you say 10 years,
that's a long time in a human life.
It seemed like yesterday when I sit here and think about it. Like I remember those feelings, and it just wasn't me. That's the other side. Like I was always the guy. Like you talk about like some version of, I felt like I could succeed at anything if I just put my focus onto that thing.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like that's kind of what you were getting at earlier. Like sometimes, like if you're gonna do it, like you're gonna prove to yourself that you can do it, and you do it at a very high level. That's how I felt my entire life.
Yeah.
And at let's say 26, that feeling went away. For 7, 8 months, I needed a swift kick in the dick, and my mom wasn't willing to give that to me. And I love my mom to death. That's not her role. Eventually, my dad started to. But let me tell you, and this is a thing, when I see other people I love and care about that need, and they're my brothers, things like that, best friends, I'll give them the swift kick in the dick, because I'm not the guy that was motivated by being coddled and let me wallow in pity for 8 months.
No.
I needed the kick in the dick. I needed somebody to say, hey, look, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get your fucking ass up. It's time to get back to work. You can do this again. And that's what I needed, the tough love part of it, right?
Yeah.
I love my mom. It's not her fault. But once I figured out that's what I needed, I put myself in that situation to get that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
So people stop feeling sorry for me. I don't need that. And so I try to give that sometimes now when I see it. I'd be like, come on, Buttercup, you got it.
Yeah. I like that as well.
Yeah.
That's why it's always good to surround yourself with people that have the balls to do it,
Yeah.
especially if you're like an alpha type as well.
Yeah.
You surround yourself with people that, I don't want to stir the pot, this and that. No, I got to have kind of like a couple assholes in the crew.
Exactly, yeah.
To
Yeah, hey, Daniel, what the fuck you doing, man?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, an honest friend is a friend you want.
100%.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody that's always agreeing with you or they're afraid to say stuff to you. Like if I'm screwing up, tell me. Or if you see me making a mistake on something, let me know so I can correct it.
Yeah. But I want to say I'm so thankful not to be in that state, and I used to say this. I'd be like, oh, if I lose everything, I'll just start over. I said that to everybody. Oh,
Me too.
My parents, my grandparents, everybody. Oh, you're what are you gonna do if you lose it all, right? And I'd be like, I don't give a fuck. I'll start over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do it again. And that's true, and I did. Except, it's not that quick.
Yeah, I did too, but it's
Warren Buffett's
painful.
rule number 1 is don't lose money. That's his first rule. Rule number 2 is seen to rule number 1. All right. Now here's the reason for that. A mistake, when you lose everything, takes years to recover from.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is you never truly recover because of the trajectory that you were on, and that time value of money over a long period of time. You've completely disheveled yourself, right?
Yeah.
It took me losing everything, which was a period of years. But then when I finally hit bottom, took me that 7-8 months of getting out of my own way. And then from there and deciding to fix the shit, it took basically 4 years to get to zero, to get out of the hole, to get through that whole process so I could start over officially. And then March 18th was 5 years from zero. So like we're talking about a long time.
Yeah, but
to get back to where I'm past that point now, but to get back to where I was. So literally, let's say I lost a decade getting back to where I was. If I would have just made, a lot of things happen in the economy in the world. I can blame everybody else. That's fine. If I would have made different decisions and handled things differently, I could have navigated it better. But now I know, right? So now I don't make the statement, I'll start over
And
tomorrow.
also, I don't think, we've talked about this before. I think you have to experience these massive losses.
Yeah.
Especially as an entrepreneur, to become more successful, because it's just part of the process. I think it changes your perspective.
Yeah.
You start to focus on different things. I don't think you would be as successful as you are today.
That's probably true.
If you had kept.
Oh yeah.
If you were still the you that you were back then, because your perspective's different now, and you think much more broadly now.
Yeah.
I think.
And I don't make statements like that anymore. I'm not doing that. What I was doing then, the things that were important to me then are not, and I'm sure the same thing as you. Like, I hear like when you're talking about the way that your girlfriend motivates you, and the way that you talk about your relationship with her. Like, those things are a more mature person. That, like, if you go back to me at 25, 26, I was also being a fuckhead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, So a lot of situations I put myself in, and a lot of what I went through was because of all that fuckery I was dealing with, that I was doing, So I look at that and I go, you know what? And now I'm in a position where I'm not all in anymore. I don't have to be. I'm not risking my family home. I'm not risking the roof over my kid's head and the food in their mouth. I'm also not being, what's the word?
You're more diversified now too.
More diversified, but I'm not giving my time out to people that don't deserve it. My time is reserved for, and this is not in this order, but my business, my friends, my family. Those group of friends are really small. That circle's super small. My family, what I consider my family, not necessarily just blood related, is extremely small. And if the activities I'm doing don't benefit my friends, my family, or my business, I don't do it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Period.
Yeah.
Like my wife's in Florida right now. I'm flying back and forth to see her when I'm with my kids. And when I'm not there, I take my big ass home. I drive 2 hours home, basically, 2 hours each way every day. I go to the home by myself. I read. I do my stuff. I'm not going out. I could be going out doing whatever,
Yeah.
not doing that shit. I go home. I stay focused.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
That's the way to do it, man. Good for you, dude. That's great.
Well, but I don't ever want to go back to that shit.
No, yeah.
That's how bad that it traumatized me. I'm like, nah, man, that's good. Like, I hear people doing stuff. I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, nah, y'all go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know where that path leads.
Yeah, I know. I've been there, man. Like,
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. Yeah, you go ahead, dude. Have fun. Yeah, live it up. So, but anyway,
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
So,
I think with your personality and your perspective on life and responsibility, I think once you do reach the level in comedy where that's what you do full time, I think you'll be extremely successful.
Oh, thanks, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that, man. That keeps me going. I get that, a good amount where I go, all right, I think this is real. I'm not being delusional, because I've always been afraid of being like that person that's just completely off the wall delusional. Like, there's some people that are like, oh, I killed it. And then they maybe did okay, and I'm like, holy fuck, I can't be that person. So
right.
But that's where I go, surrounding yourself with the honest comedians. When you get off stage, they fuck with you, like, oh geez, that was a fucking bomb, buddy. Like, that's the kind of that's the kind of love I like. Like, I grew up in a household, my parents roasted us. We got roasted all the time. Like, you fucked up, you got roasted. It was just a thing. Like,
you ever heard of a compliment sandwich?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I like. I like to do that, especially with my close friends. I'd be like, I'll pay them a compliment, and then I'll also insult the shit out of them at the same time. Like, man, you really fucked that up. But here's one thing you did really well. Like, oh man, it's a nice TV. We'll make it work. It's a 42-inch. It's like 8 years old. Like, I literally would just hammer him. Like, I'm going to give him some good stuff. We were doing it earlier with Parker.
Oh,
like,
well, that's you
give them. You got to be straight with them. But then you also got to come back and go, well, listen, these things aren't really that important, man. With people you care about, I think they deserve you to be straightforward with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if they don't like it, if you're being genuine, and that friendship's not going to work if that's what you value. Like, when I build my principles, radical honesty and transparency is one of those things. Like, as a person that, when I was young, I'm a charismatic guy. I fucking lied all the time, especially to women.
I like the asterisk, especially to women.
Yeah, especially to women. And after a certain point, you get older, and it just feels wrong.
Yeah,
it just
man.
feels bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, what kind of guy do I want to be? Now I'm on this kick where I'm like, ultra honesty. I'm like, helping coach a few guys. I'm like, telling a girl up front, like, if you don't want to settle down with one girl, but you want to sleep with this girl, tell her up front, 100%. Hey, listen, I want to connect with you. I want to hang out with you. I want to, do things with you, but I don't want to be monogamous. A lot of guys can't have that conversation before the sex because they're afraid to lose the sex. But what I found through living this life at one point when I was single, and then also helping other guys do this, is that they don't really lose out on the number of girls, but they actually gain more quality, because now it's you've given the girl the opportunity to not be with you. And the ones that decide to, they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. Most people that are single right now too are on Tinder. They're already dating 2 or 3 people to play the field anyway. So it's just kind of bringing that up to the surface. Yeah. But yeah, it's just honesty is where I'm at now, and those are the people I want to be around.
I like that you just said that, Iron Mike. I want you to remember that I say the same thing to you. Shout out to Mike. But I say the same thing. So I suffer from the other side of it. I just want to be brutally honest with you, and if you're not cool with it, with my intentions, you know what my intentions are. Yeah. There's nothing up for debate, right? Yeah. And if you're not cool with it, we're both going to save a lot of time. Yeah. On to the next one. Yeah, and that's life is just finding the group of people that's like on the same level of full of shit, because everybody's everybody's full of shit to a certain level. You just gotta find the same. If you got a 2, you find a 2. Some people are full of shit at a 10. And they need to hang out with those people. Like,
that's a crazy place.
That's
stay away from that place.
Yeah, exactly.
You talk about being honest with your friends, and you should be, but sometimes. We all have certain friends that just you can't waste certain conversations on them. Yeah, because it's not going to go anywhere.
Eventually, you figure it out.
Because we all have different amounts of drive and desires and that purpose thing. So not everyone. A lot of people fit into the mediocre category, and I don't have a lot of friends in that category, but we have a couple and. With those people, you just kind of have to let them be what they are, and you just love them for what they are.
And we don't shit on their dreams.
Don't push them.
Yeah, we don't shit on their dreams. Yeah. If they reach out to us, we had one recently. I'm not going to say the example because he might be watching, but he sent me something. I was like, hey man, that's awesome. He was excited about something. I'm as a friend, I should be able to still be able to say, hey man, that's great. Yeah, like to celebrate their victory with them. Hey, great job. And the other side of me kind of wanted to be like, hey man, why are you putting your money in that? You should be doing this and this and this and this.
Yeah.
You're telling me that you want to change your life, you want to do this, but I could take that other angle. But wait a second, he's still my friend. We go way back, and he's excited. He's accomplished something. This was important to him.
Yeah,
right. Doesn't matter. It's not important to me.
Yeah.
It's important to him. So, hey man, congrats. And I mean that sincerely. But it takes me thinking about it methodically to go. Not everybody thinks the same way that I do or we do.
Yeah. And I'm 40 now. I used to try to give people advice. I just got tired of it, man. I don't have the bandwidth or the energy to give people advice.
Don't you love when they ask for it and then they get pissed when you give it to them?
Yeah. Yeah. I do I'm honest with them. If it's something pressing, tell them a couple times. But after a certain point, they come to me with the same problem. I just, hey, it's the same problem, man. Nothing's changed. Like, what,
Yeah.
And maybe they'll maybe stop talking to me about that problem, or they may kind of like that I make fun of them. It's just,
And I'll tell people too, sometimes success doesn't always involve money.
That's true.
Right.
Sometimes people are just doing the wrong thing. If you're doing something you hate, you need to find another thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Even if it means less money, you've got to find a way to do something that you can live with. Otherwise, you'll waste your whole life doing something you hate.
If I could shovel shit and make as much money as I could have made at that car dealership, I'd have went and shoveled shit. And the reason I say that is, for me, I'm different. I will do whatever mundane task it took to make as much money as I can to accomplish this objective.
To get to something you love.
To get to something I love.
I agree.
But I won't do that for 40 years.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Right? Like, there's a difference, right?
Yeah,
I think there's some people that are trapped in this thing for a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, and they hate it. Like, to me, I don't know about that.
And time is relative, right? So it actually it has the like, our perception of time is that it speeds up the older we get because we have less of it. So if you're doing something you hate, you need to immediately figure out how to get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, it'll be over. Like, you'll just you'll be at 65 and be like, wow, I just did something terrible my whole life and now I have no options.
Oof.
Yeah. And I don't get
That's a scary place, man.
And I don't get this 65.
Or 75.
Or no, I mean, I don't get, and I know what it is. It's when the company, we talked about this a few weeks ago too, but when the country is being founded, these people that run these businesses, we're trying to figure out a way to train their workforces, and that's where our education system comes into play, right? Some version of that.
Yeah.
And there's these rules. He's like, oh, well, you can work to your, what's the rate now? I don't even remember these, and was a financial planner at one point. Was it like, at 65 you can get full retirement, but at like 60 and a half, 59 and a half?
Now it's like 60.
But you
is full retirement.
You could get a retirement, but if you waited a few more years, you get a little bit more money. These things are so stupid to me. Like, why would you ever retire, period? You should always want to do something.
Honestly,
yeah.
Because they've done studies on people's brains, and all the studies show that if you retire, your brain immediately starts to deteriorate.
Yeah.
If you're not constantly doing something new.
Yeah.
You need to be working on something.
Yeah, retiring for me, people are like, oh, so we're not going to have Social Security. I'm like, I'm not counting on Social Security for my income. Like, if that comes in, if I get it later, great, but that's not. Yeah. I'm not like, oh, Social Security, buddy. Let's go. What you got for me, Uncle Sam? I'm not doing that. Like,
when it gets there, and I used to feel differently about this, Warren Buffett doesn't collect his check, his Social Security check. Obviously, he's a billionaire. He doesn't need it. But there was a period where he wouldn't. When it used to be checks, he wouldn't cash the checks. He just wouldn't take the money. Well, the thing is, though, it still builds up.
Yeah.
Right? It's still his money. He never cashed the checks. It sits in his account. Well, in the account the government has for him. So then eventually what he'd do is he started taking the money and just donate it. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't want the damn money. Like, I think that
hopefully by the time we retire, there'll be a much better monetary system.
I agree.
And it won't be an issue. Because you need for those people that are mediocre to be able to have all their basic needs and live their mediocre life, but not be depressed and suicidal and all this stuff. Because even if they're just living a mediocre life, if they have all their basic needs met, they're still going to invest into our economy. They're still going to reinvest in society. But at the same time, we don't need to pay for that either, at least not all of it. Mm-hmm. There needs to be a better value on money, so that's part of the equation.
Yeah, because the mediocre people, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they seem to like hold the economy up, whereas like the elite people move it forward. Like,
right.
So you kind of need, the more people we got to that point where they have their basic needs met and they're contributing, I feel like there'd be a lot less of that boom and bust. And then you let the fucking big dogs like Elon Musk and whatever, the people that come up with innovation and all that, really propel things. Propel things forward. So
well, guys like me and him, we reinvest 90% of what we make.
That's great.
I'm currently
we have to. It's business is momentum, right?
Yeah.
So you can't lose momentum. You have to keep growing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So based right now, I'm just curious here.
Text my boss real quick.
Oh, you gotta wrap up
in a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're right. I think we're like 95% of every dollar we make gets reinvested. Now, if you think about that, there's people out there like, oh, you should save 10% for the rest of your life and you'll be fine. Like we reinvest 95% of every dollar we make.
Yeah.
And really, the other money is just living, right? And
Yeah.
with the exception of this last year, where I've actually started doing some things with my family, we didn't take vacations for 4 years. To get back where we need to go, you got to sacrifice. It's delayed gratification.
Oh yeah. I'm on the Dave Ramsey plan now because I'm still paying off student debt. I've been historically fucking terrible with money, so it's cool that I'm sitting here with you guys. Yeah, I feel like I'm. You hang out with people. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like learning and shit. This is great. But yeah, I'm paying off student debt now, but I couldn't fucking keep money in my bank account. I mean, I couldn't really follow a budget until about 2-3 years ago when I thought I was going to lose my girlfriend because I ran up some credit cards.
Yeah.
And that was my kick in the ass that I needed to find. There hasn't been really anything in my life that I'm like, I can't do it. Except at one point when I was at my low, I was like, I don't think I can control myself with spending money. I gave up internally a little bit, and thank God I got out of that. But now I'm like following a budget, It was a scary time for me, but now it feels good that I'm like, I've paid off like $50,000 in debt so far in the last couple of years.
Nice.
Yeah. Just trying to get back,
But you have
not even get back, just
you have the will to do it too.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
That's a big part of it. You believe that you can overcome that, and you did.
Yeah.
I found a lot of times in life and in business, especially when things get really tough, a lot of it's just believing you can get out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've got out of some shit before. I'm like, I don't know how I survived.
You did something. You definitely didn't take the easy path either. You fucking trudged through the shit, but you did it.
Yeah.
So
it's bizarre.
So, this thing that says, okay, well, if you make $100,000, you're gonna spend $100,000, right? If you make $40,000, you'll find a way to spend $40,000. Most people, that's what they're plagued with, right? They're consumers.
Yep.
Everything they generate, they spend.
Yeah.
Which is good. This is where you were talking about, like, let's just say the middle class props up the economy. It's because they spend everything notoriously that they have. And a big part of the reason they don't work their way to the 1% is because of the consumerism that they're trapped in, right? So you think about this, though.
Society's kind of designed that way, too.
It is designed that way. And that's a big part of the reason that people don't jump classes typically, right? This delayed gratification part of it. And they aren't taught that early on, obviously. They're taught to be consumers.
Yeah.
They're taught to be employees, and they're taught to be consumers. But go back to the 50s, right? There was no air conditioning. Right? So how did people survive? How did they live, right? In hot climates, right? They just figured it out. Right now, we've got the poorest percentage that's not homeless that have access to full heat and air, right? And I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm saying even our poorest people have something that people just 70 years ago didn't have. Either the wealthiest people didn't have.
There's a new movie. It's a new Dracula movie. It came out maybe last year. I watched it during the first part of the quarantine when we really couldn't do much. And there was a really cool quote, like it was a cool scene where he like comes back in modern times and he breaks into this house and he like kills this dude that lives there, and then the wife comes out and he's like looking around at the place and he's talking to her and he's like, how rich are you? Because it was just a shitty apartment. And she's like, we're broke. What are you talking? We're poor people. And he's like, wow, fascinating. He's like, society's gotten to a point where even the poor people live like elite rich people. Something to that nature, or something to that extent. And I was thinking, well, that's true. If you go back to like people in the Middle Ages, somebody in the 14th century or something. And you look at even the rich people during that time, their life was so primitive compared to the way we live now.
Yeah.
I mean, you could live in the hood now and have more resources than somebody that lived in a castle.
Oh yeah.
In the 1300s.
Yeah.
It's interesting though.
That's been cool to see too. Is like checking in from people back home when like they started posting pictures of like going to brunch and stuff, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's awesome. It's like, you know, they're like exploring other parts of New York. I'm like, all right, everybody's leaving the neighborhood a little bit. Like, yeah, I don't know. It was something I liked. I don't know.
I know Yonkers was like one of the first areas hit really bad up in New York too, right? With COVID.
Yeah, they were pretty bad. Yeah. Our next door neighbor, her dad died, but my family's all good. But
I was in New York, I think 2 weeks before maybe the week before the quarantine.
Yeah.
I think it was the week before. And when I was there, I was looking to see how, like, if I was in a safe area, because we didn't know anything about this pandemic back then. And I think I remember reading something that Yonkers was like a hot spot.
Yeah.
Like the first hot spot in New York.
yeah,
I was
makes
at
sense.
Disney when the last day that Disney was open a full day. We were there, and everybody's like the week of. They're like, oh, Disney may close, and they closed the one in California. I was like, I don't give a fuck. We were riding. We were loving it because the less people that were there, we were just riding ride after ride after ride after rides. Because the last day, it was like we were like, oh, it's like a ghost town. This is awesome. And we just kept riding. Everybody's like, oh, you should get home. It's dangerous. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. We're at Disney. I don't care. And we lived it up. We got back home, and everybody's like, oh, are you quarantined? No, fuck, I'm not quarantined. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anyway.
They were filled with Disney magic. It was
man,
you're unstoppable.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know what they put in the Disney sauce, but it protected us. But it's funny.
Everyone
though.
left. You were the only people there.
Yeah, we were the only ones there, man. Yeah, it was the safest place to be, man. Like, it was awesome. And the employees wouldn't get near us. We couldn't figure out what was going on. I was like, all right, this works. You want to ride it a dozen times? Have at it. You don't have to give off. But what's funny about it, we're going to go back to Disney on Thursday for my son's early birthday gift. But
Awesome.
And the park is at no more than half capacity, period, with all the social distancing. And the average ride time's 12 minutes right now. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be great.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
This is going to be great.
One other thing, too, is it can't – so this is science. This is something I'm making up. They've done studies that show that the virus dies instantly in the sun.
Oh, really?
So if you're outdoors in bright sunlight, you're pretty safe.
Oh, nice.
Especially if you have a mask on. There's no way.
That was a huge step forward when they came up with that it doesn't live on surfaces as long or whatever.
Yeah.
That was a huge sigh of relief for me. I was spraying down groceries and shit. It was like,
So now you need to ask yourself why those parks are still closed for kids,
that's true, yeah.
right?
Yeah, I go do pull-ups in the park and stuff. That's where I was going to work out.
Yeah.
There's a little playground in my neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well, here's to 2021.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what though? There's
It's
a
been a
lot
good
of
year,
there's a lot of shit things that happened this year, but there's a lot of positive things that happened this year too.
sure.
So.
Yeah, there's going to be good. Most of the people I've talked to, even if they're doing bad, they've found some good because it's so fucked.
Yeah.
It's so fucked that you really have no other choice. Like,
Yeah.
And we have some big problems.
My brother Chris got his kidney this year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. That's
oh,
huge.
nice.
Yeah.
It's his best year.
Nice.
Yeah. So and he's 5 years on the list and tons of health scares.
Scary.
So I mean, like I can name you a dozen terrible things that happen. I can name at least half a dozen great things that happen.
Well, our criminal justice system really needs to be revamped.
Oh, yeah.
this country,
oh, God. We don't have the time to discuss that.
Yeah,
That's
I think
like,
We're gonna say that for
now.
the next one.
yeah.
So I think a lot of positive will come out of that too.
Yeah. What's weirdly enough, too, is that Kim Kardashian has done some work there. She's released.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's secretly going to run for president.
What is it called? The Innocence Project that she works with?
Now you realize that she's Kim is Kanye's wife, right?
Yes.
Yep.
She's a Democrat and Kanye's a Republican. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting.
Kanye
I like
crazy,
that.
though.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Well, I get it, but I'm like, it's funny to me though, because, he gets out there and gets at it, right? And I don't know. I like that. It's a divided house, but I think it adds a little something to that element there.
Yeah, I always find houses like that interesting. I think James Carville and his wife, the same thing.
Yeah.
He's Democrat, his wife's Republican. It's like,
That's a crazy one too.
Yeah. Anyway.
I think for Kanye, it probably helps him because
The Republican thing?
just his craziness.
Oh, yeah.
He's a brilliant artist,
Yeah.
But
yes.
but he's unquestionably insane.
Yeah.
And I think people they're like, oh, it's just Kanye.
Yeah, especially because he's in like the whole Kardashian circus.
Yeah.
So I bet it'd be a little different if he wasn't under their umbrella. Because I think a lot of people attribute the exacerbation of his craziness to
Yeah.
him being a part of that family, because that family has that family has turned some brothers out. So you know, it's like
I was gonna say, I was like, yeah,
yeah.
That's funny.
yeah. Hey, listen, Ray J.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can't get that video. I watched that video, the bootleg version, when I was how was that video? God, I mean, was it 15 years? I don't know. I don't
Kim
know if
Kardashian's video?
Yeah, I don't know if you know the video I'm talking about, but
Yeah, the
Must
sex
have been.
tape, right?
yeah, sex tape. Yeah, long.
Early
I watched it
2000s.
bootleg early, when it was a boot. Literally, that's how old it was. It was a
Yeah.
bootleg video. This is how I watched it the first time. And then I'm like, so I can't have a serious conversation about Kim.
Yeah.
And then remember that song Ray J did? I hit it first.
Yes. Yeah.
Like that's all. It doesn't matter to me. Like I see her doing these great things, and I'm like, I hit it. You slut, but in a good way. I mean, I don't mean that in a degrading way. I mean like
No, yeah. I feel you.
Yeah. I mean that with respect.
Yeah.
Well, it was a pleasure having you on, man. Do you want to tell everyone how they can look you up on social media?
Yeah, just follow me on Instagram, Freddy Valoy. That's my name, Freddy Valoy. Click the link in my bio. That'll take you to my YouTube channel. And subscribe to that, and that's where you'll hear through Instagram. My Instagram stories is where I'm pretty active, and that's where you'll keep updated on the new stuff we got going on, when new episodes drop, and all that. So,
Comedy show dates and stuff like that?
Yeah.
I just followed you.
Oh, hell yeah.
Hey,
Thank you.
add the subscriber list there.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
Later.
Bye.
Awesome. Hey.